Jeff, what office are you running for? What office are you running for?
Which one am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
You act like you're running for office on this handshake.
I did good, didn't
Yeah.
Janice, we ready?
I?
Pick you one. Pick you one.
All right. Let's get started back. We'll call this meeting back to order for the Rankin County Board of Supervisors. At this time, I guess we'll have a presentation, I guess, or what, from JH&H? Is that what we got? An update? Okay. Update. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. As the Honorable Board Attorney said, we'll update you on what we've been. As you may remember, in December, you authorized us to start the process of programming and preliminary planning, looking at new court facilities, which would basically include judicial, justice, and chancery court facilities. Since that time, we have met, I think, with all the pertinent parties and staff at least once. We still have some work to do, but we've met with the chancery judges, we've met with the chancery clerk, we've met with the justice court judges. We've actually met with the mayor and some of his planning people for the city of Brandon. And we've met most recently with Sheriff Bryan. So, anybody else?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah, okay, the Justice Court clerk. So we've done all the preliminary meetings, and where we're at right now, and we've done minutes of that, which I don't know, have they been shared with? I think I just sent the sheriff's meeting minutes yesterday, if that's correct. Okay.
They reported to you yesterday along with about 16 other emails.
Well, the purpose of our meetings, we haven't made any decisions. The purpose of our meetings were to gather information from the users and the staff. And where we're at right now would be, if you've had a chance to look at those minutes, we would like to get any feedback that you may have. Our next step is to take those minutes and put together what we would call a space program, which sets how many offices, how many courtrooms, how many square feet and all that. And from that, we could develop some preliminary, when I say preliminary, ballpark ranges of cost estimates. In conjunction with that, we've been, Buster has provided us with topo surveys of 2 potential site locations, which include the trust, what's called the Trustmark site, immediately east of the jail, and then the other site is on the, well, I guess it's west of the jail. Get my direction straight. The other site would be the southeast corner of this facility that way. So we've looked at both those sites with a couple of things. One, obviously, there's 2 potential options. One would be a combined building with all the facilities in one. The other would be 2 separate buildings, primarily with the idea that the Justice Court facility would go on the Trustmark site and the Chancery Court facility would go on another site. The reasons why we've looked at these options is primarily because of the site limitations. Both sites have some buildable areas on, but they also have some extreme slopes. And of course, trying to build on those slopes is just more costly. The other issue is limited parking. Justice Court has some pretty large parking needs, at least that's what we determined, and that's the input we've got. Chancery Court does too, but not nearly as large. In addition, Justice Court has some strong interaction with the Sheriff's Department and their uses, especially in transporting of prisoners. So the Trustmark site, if that's the final decision, would be closer to that. I say all that to say that we haven't made any final determinations or recommendations, and our next step would be to do the programming and then come up with potentially some concept designs to put on these sites to see how they would work, and then make our recommendations to the board. The only thing that we need from you really at this time, if you have any thoughts or is any feedback with some of the input that we've gathered from these departments. Obviously, when we do this, we're looking for their, if money was no object, what would be your needs? Well, we all know that monies are objects.
Throw that out.
We have to deal with budgets. But so what we usually do is start with the optimum, and then we start, trimming it back and refining the programs to meet the budget. And that would be where we would go from here. We'd develop the space program, and we'd see if the space program comes up and it's more than what the budget would dictate, then we'll have to look and see, set priorities, what can go in there. So,
Well, there was one email that I did read, and I don't intend to read all y'all's minutes.
it's not exciting. It's pretty good nighttime reading, I think.
Yeah, that's just what I want to do at night, so I dozed off.
Yeah, to be able to go to sleep.
It didn't take long, I was asleep.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna hurt my feelings. The way I type, it takes me days to put all those.
I kept losing.
You'd have to understand the other 16 emails he sent yesterday were quite lengthy as well.
Yes. I think he started out saying something about the length of this one. You knew that one was long.
Yeah.
I apologize on the front end.
We were just happy he didn't get paid by the word like he used to, so.
But there was one that I think we're going to need to tell you what we want, and part of it was the Chancellor Clerk's office. And I know y'all met with him, and personally, I don't want to move the records to the court. I don't know if I'm in the minority on that, but that's definitely, I think, something that this board needs to tell y'all.
Right. It would. Well, what we can do going forward, we can determine exactly if you moved it to the new one, how many square feet that would include, and about what the cost range would be, or if you did put it in there, how much it would, what would less cost be not to put it in there.
So it wouldn't be that big of an issue to you then?
Not at this point, but we will. You're absolutely, at some point in the next step, after we determine the space program, we will need to know before we go forward whether or not you want that in there or not.
I think we're at a point right now, Jay, where we're gonna probably take the space program that we're developing right now and coming up with some schemes to play around with on both those sides. What I guess really what we're looking at from your standpoint, that is with Chancellor or without Chancellor, either way. I mean, we need to develop basically a footprint to make sure that these sites are gonna be viable options for either way we go.
Well, I'm leaning more toward one building, not two. So, but
Yeah, me too.
I thought that we had ruled out this site for any building. I didn't think there was enough room over here to put anything because that was a watershed down through there.
We've done some just preliminary looking at it, and I think, again, it just depends on a couple of things, but I think you could put the Chancery building over here by itself. I don't think you could put a combined building unless you went three floors. Well, you couldn't really because of the parking needs of the Justice Court.
Yeah.
We have not, we've just preliminary started looking at the topos, and we would have to get in some interaction with Buster. But there's a possibility from just us quickly looking at it that we could put a two-story Chancery building with a footprint of approximately 15 or 16,000 square feet per floor on there. Now, it will take up some of the existing parking, and that's something we would have to study and come back to you and to the users to make sure. The sheriff, he needs that access drive.
Right.
We couldn't do away with it. We may could reroute it a little bit. And when I say we're looking at that, we still don't want to get down into that hole. We may with a little bit get onto the edge of it, but we don't want to spend a ton of money, I don't think, filling up that hole. Now, there may be some options for from additional secure parking or something down there, but we haven't gotten there. But we were going to look at that as a possibility.
Okay, but wait, you're talking about, I understand completely about the cost of dirt, and filling things and whatever, but to weigh the difference of two facilities and one facility, would it be feasible to fill some,
That's something we're going to
Yeah,
look
that,
at.
I'm just saying, I completely understand about the cost of dirt.
We're in the same situation with the Trustmark side.
Yeah.
You've got some crazy ranges on Topography field there also.
Right.
Even if you were gonna do a one building to try to accomplish everything, your site is still limited there.
What?
And
I thought we knew that, and that's why we were talking with Trustmark about trying to get a price together.
Understand that we talked about planning that's been done on Trustmark site, that has included
Right.
an arrangement already being worked out with Trustmark.
So they already are taking in the additional land we're going to get.
Yes, sir. When they are evaluating the bank site,
Okay.
the Trustmark site, it is with the assumption that we're going to be able to occupy and control
Both parking lots.
everything except the McLaurin office building.
Yeah, okay.
But which site's best for the sheriff, the annex or the Trustmark?
Well, for his, the Trustmark, I believe, would, and, I don't,
Way it
Right.
sounded earlier, does that sound, I think that's what you were saying,
Yeah.
the sheriff, so the Trustmark side would be served better for the sheriffs, I guess. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
We're thinking?
that's my big thing was the catwalk we have going.
Yes, sir.
Have the catwalk going to the jail.
Right.
Justice Court. There's some security issues.
Right.
And manpower issues.
Right, rather than have a
Plus,
cap.
with the additional holding cells, it really helps us on manpower.
Right.
Well, and also, I'm thinking back on just something you and I, just in conversation, didn't you, in the future, a footprint, if you needed to come this way some, is this gonna impede on some of what,
One place left to add on the jail.
right, would this be impeding on it any? Okay. If it was over here,
Well,
okay.
no,
But
let
now,
me-
I think before we get too far down that road, I could see Brandon throwing up a big red flag here by not allowing us to put a catwalk across that road.
Yeah, I've talked with the mayor about it. He said he didn't think there'd be an issue with it.
Okay.
But now, I say that.
No, we
but then
did, no, we
do
did.
they
We
want to go
talked to the
plate?
mayor also, and he said the same thing.
But what?
Brian?
Do they want to gold plated or not? That's the issue.
They'll go,
Gold plated. I think
There's
platinum
certain-
would probably be okay.
galvanized,
Okay, let's talk realistic. Okay, say we do,
I thought we were.
I know, but one building, realistically, what about the parking? Is the parking issue is gonna be,
the
it comes down to parking?
The parking
That's
is
what he
gonna
keeps throwing in
drive,
there.
I
the
know.
parking is gonna drive the amount of room you need.
Right,
What our studies have shown so far and the input we've gotten, that you need approximately at least a minimum of 100 spaces for the justice court and 50 or so for the chancery court.
Okay.
And that includes staff and visitors and things of that nature. So we're talking about 150. We just hadn't gotten to that point on either, well, that's not really feasible on the chancery site unless you fill in that hole or get more property or do something with that. It's gonna be extremely tight on the Trustmark site from just our preliminary studies, but we haven't gotten enough detail into that to verify that. That's really where we go from here. If you are looking at a combined building, to me, it just about has to go on the Trustmark site. I don't think there's any way possible a combined building could go on the chancery site.
If you did two separate buildings as opposed to one large building, would there be a dramatic difference in the cost?
That's what we're gonna look at. Typically, two buildings are gonna cost more than the one.
But with that being said, there's a lot of topography change on
Yeah.
the Trustmark site. There's still the issue of acquiring additional land on the site. Because you're not just talking about what y'all currently own in the two parking lots. You're gonna probably have to go up that hill into the estate side of it, which I believe is living trust. Is that right?
What we discovered on, and let me clarify something here, Mr. Buster, you jump in. There has been no boundary survey done yet. That's an expense that nobody wanted to get into.
Right.
Until we are pretty clear that we've got direction from you guys about which site we need to focus on, whether it's both of them or just one. Then we can spend the money on a boundary survey. Just a preliminary look that we have seen, it appears to disclose that there is a boundary on the far west end of the Trustmark site that we were unaware of. All right, it does not go all the way, the east boundary of the property that the county controls does not go all the way to Felicity Street. There is a narrow, appears to me to be, basically somebody was reserving an access way back to Highway 80. There's a strip that's probably 20 feet.
We've got, have they seen the topos?
I don't know, no, I don't know that.
I mean, we've got a copy of the topo. It may help
There's a strip
explain
through
it.
there that's gonna affect our access to that site from the east side unless we can get that worked out with the owner. All right. So there's two pieces now to the puzzle on the Trustmark site. The actual Trustmark parking lot property, which they've indicated, they're ready to and willing to work with us on. So I've never been concerned about that. They told the same thing to Colonel Spring. I don't have a big concern there.
Well, even if we wanted to get that other piece of property, we could eminent domain if we had to, right?
I'm beginning to, we would not have an access problem, Jay.
I'm just talking about needing the land.
It depends on how bad we need it.
No, I mean, if we need the land to use for building or parking space, what I'm talking about.
I'm not comfortable saying outright.
Is that a use that you can do? Could we do that? Is it legal?
I'm not.
Okay.
Because it's not like a road.
Would
Right.
it be
It's,
prudent for us to share the road plan that the city of Brandon has proposed to us this morning? So that they have a copy in the event that we decide to
Yeah,
take advantage
that
of
would,
that?
that would help us out because this, in our meetings with the city, they do have long-range plans in that area and I think they would like to see that developed. Now, I don't know, they also would like to see Main Street developed too, so I don't know exactly, we got both feelings from them, but I don't think they would be objectionable if you wanted to develop that whole area as one building or two buildings joined or something of that nature.
I think actually you see them.
So,
Well, see, that, what they've done is, because the Highway 471 project is about to kick off
Right,
this
right.
year.
they shared a little of this with us when we met with them. I don't think it was developed quite to this stage.
I think he's just, basically, it's just a drawing that he's kind of come up with. It's nothing in stone. I believe that's the way I understood it, isn't it, Walt?
Well, he's paid somebody to draw up those plans. He didn't just do it himself.
That was what I heard.
I don't think he's done the engineering on how much cut and all that.
Yeah.
We can take this and look at it, and then we can determine exactly what's.
We, in doing, and having area, Brian, you said that
It's ready.
you was talking about in the future. What about the detention facility?
Expedition, we'll probably get, what, 100 beds in this area. You get your map?
No, Janice took mine.
I'll go get it.
I got it.
He's got it.
The only way we can add them to jail is gonna be coming out here like that.
Toward the access, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So that's where you envision putting
Yeah,
the.
that's where our medical, we need room for medical, we need a female trustee hall, and 100 beds.
Okay,
But these are still in concrete beds, this isn't misdemeanor.
That's not the
This is
misdemeanor?
This is like, you know.
Okay, your standard jail.
Yeah, full security.
What are you thinking about misdemeanor?
Well, I like the idea that was brought up, that they brought up, is that down the road, since y'all have all the extra money, buy this, Trustmark parking lot, put a misdemeanor facility there and connect it to the justice court. And I mean, we still have to move food and stuff over there, but it, you know, if we had walkway going from there to there,
Yeah.
you could roll stuff right on through, it'd be great, but not, we got to.
Well, then why couldn't we just,
Let me jump in right quick if I can, just to clarify what you just heard. The very preliminary discussions between the sheriff and the architect was that if there was a decision at some point that the Trustmark site would occupy only the justice court facility,
right,
there could potentially be room
yeah,
to look at a misdemeanor facility immediately adjacent to the new justice court. If the decision is one building, one site,
yeah.
you can forget misdemeanor.
So then,
facility.
if we weren't even discussing doing this right now, where did you think about putting a misdemeanor facility?
What we talked about, Eddie, is, we talked about, building one above where the module is now.
Mm-hmm. Behind the courthouse?
Yeah,
I mean,
moving the
old-
module and building one there.
Yeah.
And connecting it to the current justice court.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The very first discussion that I had with Colonel Spring about the needs of the county, with the misdemeanor facility being front and center because we were looking at House Bill 585 at that time, and we didn't know exactly what the effect was going to be.
Yeah,
That was the location that was positioned at
Could you not come out here and just go
prime
up?
selective slot was where the steel plates were.
But that was, at that time, we thought Justice Court was gonna remain where it is now.
Oh, really?
Eddie,
Think we ever
is
thought
there enough
about
room
that?
if we added on, to the,
think we're
talking about
ever
the
did
addition
Justice
for
Court where
the
it
high
was.
security cells? Up over there making that misdemeanor facility?
Rather than this being one story, make that
I always
two-story?
thought it was pretty much one and the same, if you, because I need there.
I think
Deteriorated.
it would be enough room, it'd be close, yeah.
There you're gonna get into that fact of, you got, well, you have separated as far as
No, it's just like a bunch of kids.
stuff like that.
You got more candy than I have, where's mine? That's all.
And I think initially, wasn't that designed, that's what door and kitchen.
It don't matter what it costs, I just want my candy.
Yeah, we got the other, that's what those are looking.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing else back here to do you? That's all ditch, isn't it? Okay. I mean, there ain't nothing else gonna be built back there. And this is where he's got that road. Is this it? Yeah. That's a ditch back there.
Yeah, right
But I brought that up while they're discussing that, about the spoiled dirt,
Yeah.
and you talking
Yeah.
about the excavations that may be necessary
It
to make
is
that site
back there too,
buildable
somewhere.
because of the
I don't think
hills
they
and all
road
that.
back there.
I mean, he's got
There's houses.
900,000 cubic yards of
There's a
dirt
house
he's gonna
right
have
there,
to
whatever.
move for the Highway 471 project.
Okay.
And he would whole lot
So you
rather
think we
haul
could
it
do
here. Let's use it as
Well,
fill material
I
and
just,
then put
I ain't
the right
thinking of putting
select
two
fill
buildings
on
up.
top of that
Yeah.
to
The,
build
the
our
danger would
facilities.
be is what, is, I don't know if y'all saw the news yesterday, what MDOT's running into on I-55 South.
Yeah.
They spoiled that dirt and now
Yeah.
it had a lot of clay in it and they can't use it. And now it's gonna cost them millions more to go back and redo that phase of the project. We could spoil that dirt on parts of that site if but we wouldn't
Yeah.
want to spoil anything that had any clay in it.
Yeah.
Anywhere where buildings or
Right.
paving would go.
It might eliminate a lot of that dirt then.
Well, again, if you, and you may have seen it yesterday, you may be more familiar with what's happening on I-55 South, but apparently when they built the interstate down there, they got rid of all the bad dirt underneath the highways that they built, but they just spoiled it out to the side, never thinking they would come back and widen it. So now they found out that they've got all this yazoo clay on the side and they're trying to widen it, and they're having to cancel the contract they got right now. And according to the report, it could cost them an additional $50 million.
Well,
It's gonna
they
delay
were
that
49.
that project. So, you're right, but we would need, to do that, it would need to be tested and spoiled in areas where we know it could go. Now, again, you can put some bad dirt down deep, and as long as you've got a buffer of 8 to 10 feet, if it's compacted properly, there may not be a problem, but that's really getting out of my area of expertise. You need to get a geotech involved to help advise on that.
Well, that's why I said
Yeah.
use it to fill and then top it off.
Top it off.
with Select fill.
It depends on how much you're putting in
Compacted
there.
and all
Yeah,
that.
it's gotta be
Still,
very,
though.
that can work, but it's gotta be very closely monitored when they're putting it in and it's compacted properly. And the other problem you get into, Walter, is that if you've got, part of the building on soil that's already there, and then you got another part of the building on fill, you get into having to adjust your foundation design because even though it's been compacted, it will settle over the years at a rate. So you can do that, but you've got to use sometimes piling foundations and things of that
Like piers.
nature.
Well, I mean, is that more expensive is with
Piling,
drill piers
yes,
and
and I don't know that you
tie
would.
beams and all that?
Yeah, it is more expensive, but I'm not sure that you wouldn't, since we hadn't done any soil borings at either site, I'm not so sure that wouldn't be the case anyhow. Normally, I don't think you have a lot of yazoo clay near the surface in this immediate area, do you? So I wouldn't think that would be the case, but without soil borings, I don't know that. I don't think any of these buildings are on piling that I'm aware of.
Probably not old as they are.
Well, I was referring to the spots that might have to be backfilled
Right,
in
right,
order to make
right.
them usable.
Well, generally what you want to do from a structural design standpoint is put the whole building on the same foundation, even if part of it's on good soil and part of it's under bad. That way the whole structural design is integrated and you don't have differential movement. Even an inch of movement from one end to the other can cause cracking in masonry and that kind of thing. But your initial point is correct. if that dirt is not necessarily bad, or depending on where it's spoiled, it could possibly be put on that site. But there's a lot of things that you need a geotech to kind of monitor the placement of that dirt on that site. And then we'd really kind of want to know where the buildings would go. So we would have to speed up our process of trying to identify where the buildings would go on that site. Obviously, we're not going to try and put it in the hole. We're going to try and, why don't you show them that topo where we just cut out a square foot for Justice Court building just to see if it would fit on there. And it does fit on there without getting down into the hole. Now, we didn't put both buildings on there, but that doesn't mean that they both couldn't be put on there.
How big is the
16,000 square feet, one story.
16,000 square feet, just placing basically just a rectangle box on top of the parking lot that y'all currently have over there. And this right here being the Trustmark part. The idea was, of course, trying to stay away from all of that you're basically talking about right now, Walter. These elevation changes that you get into over here, you're talking about moving a lot of dirt. We were trying to think of something a little bit more simple, so when you're talking about one building, the amount of dirt that we're gonna have to move could make it as expensive as
Yeah, I know.
two buildings.
I know.
And that's the reason why we're thinking more in terms of trying to keep things as simple as we could. Try to locate this in such a way, we're not talking about doing a rectangle.
But you know, if you do two buildings, you're looking at double everything. You got insurance, utilities, you're even taking up more space, so that's less parking. So how in the world is that going to be
Well,
better?
it's less parking, but you don't
got
have the
those
room.
insurances
We got
now
to
anyway.
insure both of them?
You've got those expenses now anyway.
We get 100
Utilities and-
parking
We won't have a
spaces.
one building though, and you can, your utilities will be a lot less on one building than it will two.
Well, there is typically savings in going to one building, but until we have a chance to look at it, the other problem that we run into is functions. I think you know, if you do all the functions in one building, probably what we would have would be something like a central lobby area, and then Justice Court off to one side, and Chancery off to another side, and Chancery maybe 2 stories, and Justice maybe 1 story, because you do want to, at least from every person we've talked to in all facilities, they do want to keep their functions separate. And then the other thing with court facilities is the security. So you're keeping them separate, and you're separating the public from the court staff and obviously prisoners that are transported back and forth. So all that takes up additional room. But I'm not saying that can't be done as efficiently in one building as opposed to two. We just haven't gotten that far yet to look at it.
When will you need us to give you some direction, or what do you need out of us? I
Today.
guess?
You're definitely buying the Trustmark stock. That's really what I think would help us in making us go through and do some schemes and give it some options.
We're gonna use it one way or the other.
I wanted to point out to you, since we've got this up here, and this is the Trustmark
Right.
site we're talking about. I wanted to define in your mind, sort of preliminarily, where the lines are.
All right.
Rankin County owns, right there, that leg that comes off right there, that's Rankin County. That's the line all the way down to the corner. There's Tamberlin Street. Existing Chancery Court, right there. Marcus's building right here.
Okay.
This is our line down to here. Trustmark owns all of this, right there,
All right.
okay? That's square. That is Anse McLaurin's law office, right there.
Yep.
You can't touch that, we don't own that.
Right.
Our line goes down to here and all the way back. Follow my finger right there, all of that.
That's all ours?
That's all ours, right there,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
This is the strip that I was talking about. That's Felicity, right there at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
That's Felicity Street. This is the strip that's reserved to Kenna W. Mudd,
And you said that's about 20 feet? 20?
whatever that is on here. I don't
No,
know.
8
I don't
months.
have
Kenneth
the
Mudd.
legend.
Yeah.
What's that square right behind the parking lot? Yeah, what's that?
That's where they have their concrete pads.
But that's Trustmark?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that didn't work.
See, what we're showing on here is briefly is the Justice Court, and then we extend that parking lot down to there, you get approximately 100 spaces. Now, if you try and put both buildings on it, then we've gotta come up with a place for Chancery and another 50 or so parking spaces. So we're gonna be getting down into this area, which, you know, may not be such a bad thing. We just haven't gotten that far to look at it, but it's getting down a hill. You know, have to be looked at how that's gonna work and what kind of costs will be involved in that.
Now, how much-
Coming this way more.
And perhaps that spoil material could be used for that, if that was gonna
It-
eventually become the
It-
parking.
It possibly could. Again, I would like, and we can get this, I'd like to get a geotech recommendation about if that's the case, you know, how much we could do and how much buffer we would need.
Much more.
Typically, we see we need 8 to 10 feet of
You want
buffer
some?
if you're just using fill. Now,
Okay,
if
I
you're
thought you were
putting
looking for
everything on
something.
pilot,
I thought
it's
you were
not as
looking for
critical.
something.
You can
thought you were
use
looking for
all that spoil and put the foundation on piling, but piling foundation costs anywhere from $10 to $20 more a square foot than your typical foundation.
This area right here coming down the bottom of the page,
Down
that area right there, is that going down?
No, sir, this
That's high.
This is high.
That's high,
It comes
yeah.
down a hill, but
So-
you can expand parking this way.
Yeah, so we could come this way.
Yeah,
We
you
own
could-
that land
You could
too.
actually terrace parking, you know, have
Yeah.
steps or
I was
something
thinking,
like
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that way, we may not have to go as far down the hole, in that hole.
How much input does Brandon have on what we build or don't build?
Oh, let's go before them.
I think.
Well, they got
they're gonna do the
architectural-
planning commission. It's gonna be aesthetics and it's gonna have to do.
So your aesthetics back here would be better than, or cheaper than your aesthetics out here?
I don't know, I would
On the
suggest
frontage?
that they're gonna be interested in what the building looks like regardless because of its location close to downtown. I think they're gonna be pretty motivated about what we're doing. Yeah, they're gonna have a landscape plan that we're gonna have to be aware of and comply with, and that's gonna affect your parking.
What about the street running this way
I have
and up the hill?
no idea. I have no idea.
Didn't you mention that earlier?
Well, I know that in the past, he's actually said something, the mayor actually said something about the streets, and today was, I think, a prelude to that.
Okay.
And us putting this building here, they gonna come and ask us for some money.
Again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Again.
You get that?
They're more than willing to participate in the cost of it, Jay. I mean, they see that as a real improvement to the downtown area and the transportation needs that exist.
Yeah.
So they're not coming to us with their hands out.
Well, I'm sure we'll be there to help, just like we have everybody else, but, you know, we don't have money to dole out either. We'll have some bridge money that we could probably assist with going forward, but we're not doing another bond issue. You know, we don't have excess cash just laying around, with the exception of, you know, road, bridge money.
Was
Also,
Chance-
did you say you're working on, your plan does or does not include moving land records into the Chancery Court building?
We've programmed that. We've got that area that's needed for that. That's really your decision as a board.
What?
Moving the land records. We've programmed moving all of Chancery clerk's functions into the new building. But
Well,
it's
I'm not for that, and it ain't nothing against Larry, you know, but I just,
right.
I don't want to create an empty hole over here that we're gonna have to go fill. And
Well,
if
we may need to use it for some of the other,
I was fixing to say, I know
We got
y'all
plenty.
probably talked to the sheriff's department about something to that aspect too, I'm sure.
no, but we got room right there. We may need to move other things out
Right.
of the courthouse.
Oh, I understand.
Over here.
I
But-
thought the sheriff wanted everything to stay under one roof, and he wasn't really interested in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've talked to him early on about
Yeah.
what all his current needs were, and a lot of it really deals with your administration more than it does anything else right now.
Yeah, I know we talked before, and Grammy said he wasn't for it, but I understand what, we didn't want to move half our people over here, and the
Right.
other half stay over there. That's
Right.
not gonna happen.
That's
No.
the same way I feel. I mean, I'm trying to run two offices and back and forth, and the thing you do is you have both your functions in the same building, so you can cut down on employment, and everything else.
And I think that was kind of the part that we had talked
Did I hear you say cut down on employment?
I mean, you got cross-trained people.
Did I hear that?
I got probably less than anybody running two offices, but if you cut down on, if you got them all in the same building, you got them all cross-trained, it sure makes it easier when I got two out.
And you seriously thinking you could cut back?
Well, I probably could, I'm just thinking out
No,
loud.
I'm just asking, I'm just
But the thing about it
questioning
is,
out loud.
you really need your functions of court, I mean, they complement each other. We have people walking up there all the time that need to be down here, vice versa. And then, you know, running back and forth. having two
At this
offices.
point, we're not, that's really y'all's decision to make. It would speed the process along if you make the decision now, but if you want us to look at both options, we can look at both options. That's the board's decision.
Well, honestly, Jay, I mean, the old courthouse is a problem. I think the more we can just, I think we need to work toward, if any way possible, getting everything out of it. We have one thing there, we're still responsible for it.
But we're not gonna be able to get away from it.
Well, I think we need to work toward that, and why not?
Well, for
Possible.
one, we're always gonna have it because we're gonna have to maintain it. But, I mean,
I think we've
right
talked
now,
about maybe being a way, maybe possibly get out of that.
Well, some of the thought process, and this is getting a little disjointed.
Okay.
But if we wanna focus on how to deal with the old courthouse, some of the thought process has been that it would serve as a storage location. And, that way, if you know you gotta maintain it, then the scale of the maintenance for a storage facility is significantly different than scale of maintenance for, having employees there.
what, we got employees over there that we don't have room for. Even if we move Larry's operation out of here, we don't have enough room for all those offices over here. We
I
got
don't
health
know.
department.
That's what I was asking.
I mean, you think about it, we got the health department, our building department, the election commissioners, 911, and Craig.
Craig's
I
office.
don't count. I stay with the storage.
Prosecutor, county prosecutors in that, in
His
the
office
old
is in the
courthouse.
back.
He's
He-
gonna be-
okay.
He'll be moving the.
Well, yeah, he's moving with Justice Court though.
He been in a new place, Walter.
So, I mean, those are offices though that, what are we gonna do with them?
Just mentioned the
Yeah,
sanitation.
I think the building department needs to get out of there, and the health department, they need to be together.
And so does 911.
Yeah.
Really, I mean.
I don't know how much square footage you have versus what they have. I couldn't say on that.
Yeah, Larry's current space in land records is about 6,000 square feet. I don't know how much,
Over here?
yeah, I don't know how much is, the departments you mentioned, I'm not sure how much is in there.
Well, that's a floor at the old courthouse.
Yeah, we can look and see.
Pretty close.
It probably is fairly close. I just don't know, and I don't know how efficient their existing spaces is. For instance, I don't know if the building department is large enough or if it needs to be bigger.
I don't either. I know
We
they're
haven't
just- I
really
don't know if
dealt,
they got
since they weren't going in these facilities, we hadn't really gotten into what their needs are.
It's a confined.
Entrance need to be
area.
big.
Anyway, existing building that you've got, these departments, so I mean, they're not that efficient to begin with. They have space to design
No, they probably don't.
inside of, let's just stay in this space back here. Maybe it could be designed a little bit more efficiency to hold, a little bit better, operate a little bit better. Just, like I said, it's the one-stop shop idea, you know, is you've got your accessory collector and building department, and health department. And that's one thing. This is where the public gets served.
That's what I said.
That's what I say, they can get everybody out of the courthouse and go there except for justice court.
If we're gonna
I
do
think you can
Everybody fit in that.
basically get
You got
almost
two
everybody out of
floors.
the old courthouse. Not much.
You take the
hassle.
permit department, you take.
And that, and come and redesign all this.
Health department.
Going on, it's supposed to be on the courthouse, we just need to get out of the
Like
courthouse.
the old grocery store, you move a petition.
Right, I mean, but it would be,
Doing something.
You would have to,
Construction.
what you would try and do is leave, all the columns and load bearing and then probably wind up gutting and making things fit because
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what would happen if you moved, land records out and you moved those others in here. You would pretty much gut the space and stay within all the existing, walls.
Well, and you also got the old Chancery Court building now.
You have a Jansen building up there.
well, I mean, that's just one aspect of it.
No, I realize,
Put an
I
elevator in.
mean, that's your general public that's walking up.
It could be
and using those
stored.
areas. So
You
we
could
try to
We're talking about using
It's something that
maybe
needs to
some
be
of that,
brought in. I'm not
some of
trying,
that
we're just trying to
there.
get the best
put all
possible.
that-
Don't we have another site that we use as storage?
You still got the
You-
Mark,
You do.
Mark, yeah.
That's archive storage usually.
Security.
Rarely occasions to go over.
Well,
it.
it's-
The idea here is
How much
realizing
footage
both
of
Chancery and Justice Court both have a lot of storage guns to begin with.
Part of it, most of it.
They could capitalize on using the old courthouse for storage also. I'm not talking about complete some of their, that way we're not expecting design space to store stuff.
Right.
I mean, give them the most pertinent stuff that they need for storage, but the rest of it can possibly be stored in the old court.
Well, both courts, at least to this point, and we need to press them further, have needs for storage, file storage. Not, not going back 10 years, but for 5 years or so, and that's a lot of storage on both of them, court records and things. And some of that apparently has to stay paper as opposed to being scanned, going electronic. We're still looking at refining that down. When I say they both have expressed large needs of space, and when you go over there and look at both those buildings where they've got large areas of storage. Now, our job is trying to make them see if they can think out the box, if there's any other way to do that, such as copying it electronically. But what we've gotten out of them, both of them so far, is there's not. They have to, what they have is the bare minimum. And then anything older, they do ship off to dead file archive storage. But that's something that if we...
Which is upstairs? Is that where they do with it?
No, they ship it off-site.
Where does it go?
Who is this?
Well, both of them, I guess. The Chancery is downstairs. All the Chancery stuff looks like it's
You talking
down.
about the files when they leave there?
Yeah.
They're in a warehouse.
Yeah, warehouse.
Is it
I got them in a conditioned warehouse.
Do you know, Larry, how long?
Marquette? Okay.
How long do they maintain the Chancery court records there?
I mean, 20 years.
See, that's a lot of storage room if it has to be in paper.
A lot of mine, I'm totally electronic now. The only office stays electronic.
If it could be,
But it's, but we still have to keep a paper file too.
Yeah.
The back of them.
I guess-
How long do you have to keep them?
About 20 years, if you're gonna figure.
what we need to determine is if, even if you have to keep the paper files, can you scan that? I mean, what is the cost of scanning all that? Because we're talking about
Now, let me say, back you up. I do MEC. I could scan everything, file that, and I could do away with it. But those judges, they like to have that paper file when that electricity goes.
Well, that's
down.
true. Judge Grant did.
Yes, sir.
Judge Grant in particular.
Electricity goes down and they're in the court case. They can't get nothing on their computer. I ain't got no backup.
So we kind
You
of.
really think they're gonna have court electricity goes out?
We have had it. How about them laptops go out?
Some of the judges have expressed an interest no matter whether electricity's out or not. They like
I don't keep a big
to.
file like I used to. I narrowed it down. This is a smaller file.
What about Justice Court?
They
paper.
their paper.
They're paper all the way. I
Yeah.
got files on them. And I got special.
So that's where their stuff goes to down there then?
Yeah, and that was another case. You could scan all that. I mean, they could get the position where you scan. The scan is not cheap, but if you set it up and start doing it, and then determine how many years you got to keep those records, which I have to look at my table and see what they are. We have a table of what records keep how long. And they could get to the scanning business and basically cut their paper down to probably a third, probably two.
It's not cheap, but when you're talking about spending
it's not
$500,000, $600,000, $700,000 just for storage of files.
But, I mean, we're not necessarily going to have to do that, are we?
Oh,
Can't
yeah.
they still come and store them over here, the old courthouse?
They want them on site is what has been, they have to have them on site is what they told
Well,
Up
us.
to
they
so
can-
many years on site, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we're looking at 2,000 to 3,000 square feet of record storage.
That has to be
I'm gonna run out
available.
of space down
That's
there.
our understanding at this point,
Really?
yes.
How big is your clerk's office over here?
6,000 square feet.
6,000?
But 3,000 of it, of course, that's land records, is land records,
Is bulk.
yeah. Half of it.
Those are original records, those are records.
It's gonna be some expensive storage rooms.
When you start talking about land records, it's
You know, we scanned,
all lines.
we got the board supervisor when I was here, we scanned back, 33 years.
Right.
We scanned records back.
But, I mean, Justice Court's not, they would have to take a software change to make that happen. There's very few companies that are geared up to do that today. But I'm sure we will be there you know, not too far down the road.
Well, that's possible. I mean,
Yeah.
and really, they should be, I would think they should be scanning that.
I'm just not familiar with the legal requirements for maintaining paper records in the Chancery and Justice
Well, on all
Court.
your misdemeanor stuff like that, I think Craig would agree with me, you could scan all that when it comes in and process is going on, you just put that on there and not paper file that, but some of the other issues you get into, I don't know, Craig, things that could be appealed, you probably have to want to keep paper on those.
The Department of Archives and History lays out a program of record retention. You have to follow this.
Which I got.
You have to follow.
That's what I use in the warehouse. I use a schedule of that. And I might have everybody mark their boxes of when that date comes about so I can do a shred in the warehouse. If not, warehouse, I'm going to run out of space in the warehouse.
I think you say, I mean, I really kind of envision this becoming a warehouse because we can't get rid of it. And
Well, circuit use.
Unless somebody wants to burn it down.
Circuit use in the bottom part is where the old was now, they're using it because it's right across the street. You don't have to go all the way down to the warehouse to card in and, you know, find that particular box and all that kind of stuff.
okay.
Well, if we build one building, who's not gonna be happy?
If you do what now?
Just build one building.
And it occupies what?
Everything.
Chancery and Justice.
Chancery and Justice.
I think you don't, well, I'm not gonna speak for the judges, but I don't think you want justice and chancery in the same building the same day.
Okay, why, I see,
I
I've
think you
heard
need to
that.
address that with the judges.
I've heard that, but I don't know. You're good enough to design a building that it, my goodness, one's here and one's there and you don't ever even
Or separate floors. What does
deal
it
with one
matter?
another.
Well, that's what, if they go one building, that's the way we're gonna approach
I
it.
mean,
We're
they
gonna
don't
approach
even know they're
separating
We have
that
two entrances.
Chancery from Justice, and at the same time separating public from court staff and from prisoners.
Different.
You don't have a hard job.
And that can be done, it's just, it takes up more space. Whether you do one or two buildings, you still gotta do that separation. So all I'm saying is you've got more circulation space, because you have secure stairs and elevators for staff and that, and you got public stairs and elevators, so you got,
Well, I mean,
secure parking. But that's gonna be.
Would we not come out better from a one building standpoint too, as far as security goes? We won't need as much personnel in one building as we would two.
That could be true. My understanding is that all the bailiffs are going to be present in all courtrooms.
Right, but I'm
regardless.
talking about the additional staffing for like metal detectors and
That
just-
could be very true. Again, what I would envision is a central. Now this is the other issue: a central lobby entry for public. But it's going to have to be very large because, you know, courts come, they come out one time. There was 150 people when I went to Justice Court that Monday, and they all seemed to come there right at 8 o'clock or 7:30 to 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was people standing,
They have it at 9
well, you were there, Rodney. I wouldn't have believed that courtroom would be filled up like that. And not only that, most of the people there didn't seem to get called right away. It was people coming in that they were calling, they either weren't there or coming later. So I don't know. So it is going, you know, but that's our challenge, is to make that work, hopefully within a reasonable cost.
Absolutely.
We can make it work. The cost
when
is the issue.
When y'all
Yeah.
initially came, just preliminarily, and we met with you, I think 2 at a time or something, you just gave a quick synopsis of estimated cost of
Right.
1, 2, or 1 together.
Right.
And it was a big difference
Yeah.
going with 2.
And it typically is. But again, we've learned a little bit more about the needs and the separation. I still think that generally there's going to be a savings going to one building, one site.
When you
But it
came
may
up
not
with
be
this,
as,
what it
it may not be as great as we originally anticipated.
okay.
Well, we're here to take care of the taxpayers.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
mean,
the
if it's $1
taxpayers
million,
would rather us go
that's
the route
big.
of less money than more money.
Well, now, if we're looking at, now that we've got topos of the site, you know, we can look at that and see how that's gonna fit and see what the options are. Site costs are something that's just unknown at this point, but we can make some contingencies and some assumptions. And then working with Buster, he's probably more familiar with that site and some cost. we can develop that in a little bit more detail. And now that we've had a chance to actually meet with each group, we have a better idea of what their space needs are at this point. And as I said, what we'll do is take what they've told us and we're going to refine them. We're going to have to put all this together and make it work, and maybe hopefully make it as efficient as possible. So, you know, we are just on the very edge of this, and I'm being a little hesitant because I hate to tell you one thing and come back 2 weeks and it's all changed.
That's what we do.
Well,
I think for sure we can all agree that we are going to need the Trustmark property.
Yep.
So you can move forward with that assumption.
we can, if it's the board's general feeling, you want us to look at one complex on that property, we can start looking at that. And if it doesn't work out, then we can move to dividing it into 2 buildings.
Well, there's 3 of us make a decision, and so far only 2 have spoke up, so.
Put one on one side.
We're here to do whatever the board's wishes are.
I'd go ahead and, I'd go ahead and look at the, one site for the one building, see how that goes. And I know you said you talked to the judges, and I know they have a dog in the hunt, but I'm like, Jay and Jared, you know, we are out for the taxpayers. But my biggest major concern is the parking issue. I mean, it always keeps coming back to the parking issue, and if it can be worked out, let's see what we can do. And I don't want to keep holding up and stuff like that, but if that's the best way to do it, then we need to look at the most cost-effective and the best way to do this thing. So if you can look at just one building.
We can start that way and go
Right.
that way.
And it looks like Trustmark is going to be no matter what, like I said.
Yeah, you could never do one building on the Chancery
Right.
side.
And no matter what, it looks like either way, we're going to have Trustmark.
Yes.
I mean, that's what's.
In our opinion at this point.
Right.
Yeah, but just like you showed the step down, and that you may not be as much feel to answer your question on possibly on parking, Greg, but with that
Right.
hill there, you could maybe do a step down,
Step
or
down
you may
from-
take some of it out, if nothing else, build a retainer wall.
You may do that. Just, I mean, y'all got that, you know, throughout
Right.
this complex. It hopefully wouldn't be as big as that retaining wall is.
No doubt, that one was 300,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't, you know,
250 or 250.
So if you
it's
move
300.
forward on Trustmark, what are you gonna move forward? What are we gonna see next? If you move forward on looking
well,
at
what I
Trustmark?
think we need to do is finish the program, and I think we need to do a concept floor plan of how that would fit on that site. Because that's
How
all.
much more trouble would it be for you guys to look at what Jared talked about, those other offices? I'm not just trying to be a hard ass about this, you know, but we've worked the system for well before you got here, before I got here, with having our chanceries separated. But if we could move all those offices in here, you know, that, I just don't think it all
But Jay, there's
fit.
another option too. If you couldn't move all of them in here, move the ones that need to be together here, and then you do have the other chancery building up here. Even if you didn't use let's just throw a department out. Let's just say election commissioners up there. You wouldn't even have to use the lower level.
Why
Well,
would
they-
we want to hang on to that, man?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're looking at, well, what are you gonna do with it? Like I
Get
said,
rid of it. Auction that
And that
sucker
may be,
off.
that may be a choice. I'm just saying that is an option.
Surplus.
That is an option to look at too.
We can
If you can move most of them over here and only, let's just say election.
Well, that
commissioners
one is
left.
just as ADA incompliant
Not-
as the old
not-
courthouse.
Not if you didn't use the lower level. You could do some modifications on the upper level, though
Yeah.
just the first floor. I don't think would be as costly.
Election commission is something.
I don't know, man. I think I'd rather get rid of that building, because why would we want to
That may
pay
be-
all that for that one building?
And that
You know?
may be too. I'm just thinking out loud, really.
We could do a quick study of how those spaces would fit into this land records.
It wouldn't be that much work for y'all? All right,
Shouldn't be. I mean, take what they've got right now and look and see how we can fit it in there.
okay.
Shouldn't
I
be.
got people other than Jeff I put on it. If Jeff was on it, it would, you
All
know.
right, well, we
I got-
good to go then.
I don't think it would be. I think what we can do is we can go, basically get a concept of their space, what they have right now. Now, we may need to meet with, I mean, I don't know if the building permit department is adequate space or not. I don't know whether it works or doesn't.
Well, don't
work.
ask them.
Okay. Well, what we can do is just take what they've got and see how it would fit in.
Especially don't ask election commissioners.
No, well, there seems to be a lot of space there.
It is.
How many total square feet are you looking at, you think? Just off the top
For
of
one
your-
combined building, we had approximately 30,000 for Chancery and 14 or 15,000 for Justice, is what our preliminary figures show, but we gotta go back and refine
Is
those.
that including the storage you said? Okay.
But it only included three courtrooms for Chancery, and
3 courtrooms and a master, or
no, just 3. They've requested 4 courtrooms for Chancery. Now, whether or not, again, that's y'all's decision as the board. And
Not every one of them will be occupied 1.5 days a week.
let me emphasize this. We work for you, the board, and we're taking input. We're gonna work this out, but we'll have recommendations to you, and then y'all got the hard job. You know, whether it be 3 or 4 courtrooms in Chancery, that's y'all's choice. If we can make it work and it fits within the budget, fine. If not, then we'll,
Well, I just don't want to see a bunch of granite and ivory.
we don't.
I'll mark those off.
All right.
Take it out of the specifications.
So roughly, you're looking at approximately 45 to 50,000.
Yeah.
Square foot.
I think so. Somewhere, maybe not quite that much, but somewhere in that
Your
range.
footprint, basically, for that idea of one building.
Right.
Think about it. You got 14,000 square foot for Justice.
Mhm.
You've got this central spine that we're talking about, this lobby here, atrium space, whatever you want to call it. And then you've also got the footprint of what the Chancery was, which is 16,000. So just kind of thinking about it, you're looking at a pretty large footprint.
Right.
Keep it in mind.
Unless you go up.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is you could go up, but it depends on how things function. And we're trying to keep a little bit of separation for everybody and still satisfy everybody's needs as much as we can. At the same time, keep the cost down. So,
Right.
Well, I definitely think we can all agree we want to design it so that we can optimize security with as few men power as possible.
Yeah, and that's been the theme throughout. Everybody we talk to is one of the major concerns right now with the facilities is separation and security.
Right.
Whether it be the sheriff or the judges or the staff, they all have expressed. And so that really, to be honest with you, is the hardest part of these buildings, because it takes up so much daggone room to get all these separations.
if we were to start from scratch, the annex building site right here makes a perfect spot. We can just get rid of it and start over. Great. You fit exactly what you need right here.
Well, we're not in fantasy land, so.
Sure, I spend most of my time there.
All right.
But that's where we'll go. We'll start looking at the Trustmark site and start playing with trying to get
You can understand
one
some
facility there and see if that's gonna be feasible.
Right. Exactly.
And we'll also go back and take the existing square footages of the election commission, those other functions, and see how they could fit in the land records area.
Yeah, because we got a couple downstairs too that we can't forget about.
Health Department, 911.
I was thinking about Craig.
And you go electronic.
Yeah.
Y'all just, y'all do
Or-
Skype, y'all do Skype.
We
We
working.
No, we do have that. Craig's and 911's downstairs and the health department upstairs. We've got that. And
Veterans office?
Huh?
Veterans
I don't
office?
think we're gonna be able to put them all over here personally, but.
we may not.
Be surprised.
I think it may be close, but I don't know whether it
They
will
can
function
go with the,
because,
election
they,
commission.
I thought you were working from home, Craig.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all got anything else for us?
no, we probably told y'all more than y'all want to hear already.
No, we
And I-
got.
No, we needed to
Don't worry.
move forward.
Yeah, we
I'm
need to
glad
move it on.
Lynn caught all this, so
Yep.
all they can be figuring in your head.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for y'all's time.
Thank you.
All right. You have a great one. All right. Looks like we've got Mr. Lynn Norris. Is that what we got next? Good
When do we
deal.
do the contract for them, Craig? When do we do the contract for them? Oh, okay. Is it the cost
that like?
involved in that too?
$2.
Their charge involved in that? All right.
I was thinking $3 or $4 an hour.
Just want to make sure I don't have to fire Jeff today.
feelings again.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Oh, I get some more paperwork, just one more. How you doing there, Mr. Landon?
Small print.
Small print.
Hey, Laura, by us doing that refunding with Flowwood, while he's getting all that out, we're no longer gonna have an overage, are we? Like the last couple of years, we got about 300,000 each year. That's gone now, right?
It's gone, but then we saved.
Okay. All right.
Save though.
We,
When will those
that
savings
was-
kick in?
That was accommodated in the figure that I gave you. We've already accounted for that in the figure.
In the 2
The
million?
number I gave you.
Reflects that.
Is net of, it doesn't include, there was some small amount of that that's sort of assumed. but
Man, you gave me two of them.
Yeah, I did.
some-
I can say, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference though.
You were very flexible.
But for the most part, that's been accounted for.
Okay.
Also, all that money does not go back to the general. All that savings.
As I pointed out, you got
It
an
goes to
email.
each of
That doesn't mean it all comes to general county. That's what I said.
Right.
Some of
The
that
road
is
department's in
out
that.
as the village.
Well, I didn't think that's what you meant, though.
I was very clear.
Lynn, did you do that deal with Flowwood? Are you the one helping them? Do you do them?
No, I wasn't involved in it. Just kind of behind the scenes helping the bond attorney a little bit. I wasn't too involved in it.
Okay.
So.
Did you bring us 2.9 million today?
No, not today, not today. Now, what I have here is, I was asked to look at, the $16 million. And what I wanted to do is just kind of go through what we had talked about before. The first page here is the debt that you currently have, and as it is paying off, and the associated levy that's attached to the existing debt. And then in our debt is the 2009 bonds, which was a $20 million bond issue. 10 million of that was for roads, but 100% of the debt is being paid out of this bond levy. So, just.
Good.
And I was asked to look at the impact that this new potential financing could be, have on the county, and that's what the second page represents there. Our existing levy that's in place right now is 4.08 mils. Looking at structuring around that, this would be a Mississippi Development GO bond. The interest rate is a very conservative rate at this point in time. I did a similar financing, two financings back in December. This rate generated, would have generated the full $16 million here. So, I mean, it would pay all the costs and deliver $16 million.
By
Don't-
adding 0.8,
Pardon?
or are you talking about adding?
0.8, yes, 0.8, right. Within the existing debt service, it's, and the payout like it is, it would take an increase at this point in time, with 100% of that 2009 bond being paid out of this levy, so,
And that'll generate 16 million,
yes, sir.
or we'll pay 16 million? What interest rate?
3.5%.
Well, that's what they just got, wasn't it?
They got 1 point.
175.
On the
176 or
taxable.
75.
Taxable, I'm sorry, on the non-taxable portion of that bond issue, 1.725.
What was the taxable?
3.6, I think it was, 3.5.
And ours is what, what'd you say?
Well, I pro forma 3.5.
Which is very conservative.
It is conservative, very conservative.
for two reasons. That was a bank qualified issue right there. And shorter term. This is a 20-year term. You would be, in today's market, you would be probably high twos, low threes. But we don't know, you know.
It's a crapshoot. Yes.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And I'd hate to come here with a low two, a high two.
And it'd be different.
And it'd be different.
Right.
And if you needed the full amount of money, this levy could.
Those guys left, didn't they? Anybody know what it cost a square foot construction? Do you know, Lynn?
Well,
We typically work from a figure anywhere between 150 to 200 a square foot.
I thought I had heard 200.
Yeah, I was hearing 200 whenever they were talking to us, I think.
it's going to be, Tupelo's looking at a
60,000
similar building
times 200.
size-wise. It's
50.
about 47,000
60,000
square feet.
50.
And it's $200. It's $200.
Okay.
So that's almost
60.
identical to what we're looking at now.
60 times 200.
Yeah, that's $12 million.
They're looking at $10 million.
Yeah, yeah. So, if we were to do this, when we get ready to pull the trigger, are we gonna get enough money to do the misdemeanor facility too, or are we just gonna do?
That's y'all's call, as to what you want to do. There had been several numbers thrown out, even up to 14 million, so we just took 16 to give y'all, to show you what it would do millage wise.
Okay.
Which will be about roughly a mill. Anything less than that, you say. It just depends on what you want to include in this. If you're doing a bond issue, what you want to do at that time.
I got you.
Well,
There's your money for the roads, Jay.
what roads? So we know it's gonna take us now. We just gotta figure out where we're gonna get it from.
I think this is extremely conservative, but that's,
I see we got some unfunded or unrefunded portions. Are we planning on refunding any of those?
that came about, I didn't do that, but that came about because there was an advance refunding. The portion that to the call date was left unrefunded, and the ones after the call date was refunded there. So that.
Oh, so everything's been refunded?
Everything's been refunded.
So we have refunded everything we can?
Right.
Okay.
Those will have to be there till the call date.
Yeah. All right. So this is our total outstanding debt is 62 million
That,
today?
that includes interest there, doesn't it? So, yes, that's the total debt surface. That's principal and interest. So it's a lot less than
Like
that
40?
on probably. Somewhere in that.
Okay. What are we gonna do about the radio communication? How are we did the lease purchase on that.
Right.
So,
I just have to start drawing down, when we feel it's time to, and it'll just be.
that's right, cause we paid up enough so that other one's gonna roll off. So
Right.
we shouldn't have to add
We
any
paid
more
that
to
one
that.
off.
Yeah,
We took it out of.
Yeah.
We paid that one off.
And that was gonna be a wash, wasn't it?
right.
Pretty much a
Yeah, it's
wash.
gonna be a wash from the
Right.
amount we put in it.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Looked like it wasn't gonna add anything to us.
All right.
And that was funded out of the 911 fund, the payment will.
Yeah, yeah.
We are projecting a 1.5% growth each year, so I think,
And that's conservative. It would just, depend on the economy. It was a little bit better
Yeah,
than that this year,
take
but as an
conservative.
average, we're just taking 1.5% growth. Hopefully we'll be better. It'll be 2 to 2.5.
Well, how are we sitting though on our millage? You said we're covering what we're, have set aside now.
Yeah, our 4.08 covers everything.
So we're not gonna come short?
It all depends on the growth. It still looks like, there is a chance maybe around
Oh.
17, 18 that we might have to do a little with it.
Make it a little tight.
Make it a little bit tight.
Okay. Well, that's a lot better than it was 2 years ago. We were definitely gonna have to add to it.
Yeah.
Well, our refunding's helped, and the growth has picked back up.
Hey. So, in your mind, where was you thinking of getting this? Road or bridge? Or a little of both?
The road y'all have never wanted to touch because of the amount that it takes from the cities.
Well, I think we got such a, well,
Bridge, we took a mill from them, we put a half mill back on. Y'all had mentioned taking a half back off of that. The only other place I know would be General County.
well, we don't have it in general to take.
No, we don't.
I don't wanna lower those bridge.
I mean,
I
we
don't
still
want
gotta
that
be
to
able to
get
give
much.
raises going forward, and if we take it out of general, we won't have anything left. We'll be back to fighting over tax raises again.
Ain't fighting
Could be
over
tight
that.
again.
Just food for thought, or just a suggestion,
Yes, sir.
something that you might want to consider, rather than transferring millage out of the road and bridge, transfer dollars out of it, to pay toward the,
Why does that do that?
Well, in your road, if you're just transferring an equivalent amount, then you're not doing anything to altering the cities.
And we'll just take our portion out?
Right.
Okay. I got you.
and that way the levies could essentially stay the
Right.
same that way.
Well, if we were to transfer out a road and once the debt's paid, what happens to this, once we pay off, say, $60 million? What do we do with this levy?
The 4.08, if
Yeah.
everything was paid for, you can either reduce taxes by that amount, or you could, that's what I'm saying, you can reduce taxes by that amount, or you could say add the half back that you took from
But
bridge.
could
It's
we,
still
we
not
could
gonna
add back
total.
in the road though, with no problem?
You could add up to your cap,
Yeah.
up to your cap, which is 10%. You could add up to your cap what you could, and then you could add,
All right.
Your debt in the road is paid off this year.
this year.
It pays off this year, so it's
Except
gone.
for
Which
the-
one
except
Small.
for the
pays off?
amount- Except for the amount that goes to Bass Pro, or the Trustmark part, the 320,000 that we
It's
pay out
a
of there.
real
Yeah.
small amount.
Yeah, but the rest of it pays off this year.
Well, tell me this then. Whenever we set all this up originally, what was the driving force in doing the debt millage? Why did we set it up like this to begin with? Just to keep it straight, or?
That's the easiest way to always do it, is have a debt levy fund out there. It's just the easiest way to do it, instead of having to pull it from.
General and road
Like,
and,
like in the past, I've had some bonds being paid out of general, some being paid out of general and road, some being paid out of road and bridge. It just makes it cleaner, it makes it easier.
well then, if we can, what I don't understand is, we couldn't take money out of road to pay for a communication system. Why can we take money out of road to pay for a building?
Well, you're taking the money out of road to pay toward the
Debt
2009 debt service. So you got $10 million worth of bonds that's being paid out of the general purpose bond issue.
That's
Yes.
why I just think it's cleaner to
Right.
have a bond and interest fund. Then you're not having to, move money around and transfer it and all. Your millage is designated for your bonds. It's just the cleanest way to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of,
Roads were built.
Right.
The road fund is not technically paying for those roads.
Right.
I got you. I'm with you. So we could take money out of road fund to pay for our road projects.
We are going to go, we are technically going to go to the road fund to pay for the roads that were built.
Bonds.
4.8 millage.
Right.
Those,
Yeah,
that's
because-
being paid out of road dollars.
Okay.
Which frees up non-road dollars to pay for a courthouse.
You know
Right.
that, well,
Basically
Mr.
flipping it
Springer
around.
kept saying that wasn't a
Straight, just straighten
wash.
it out.
I said, it's the same thing, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you're not paying Peter back. And, oh no, it's not that way, but that's what he was doing. It looked like we had this extra money, but
Right now,
he
Paul-
kept saying we had this extra money.
Oh, yeah.
You remember? But we
Yeah.
didn't.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what basically you're saying the same thing. You're gonna take money out of road, pay for the road.
Yeah,
Wink,
the
wink,
road-
nod,
Yeah,
nod.
yeah.
The road debt.
That's in the bond.
But you know, everything else, the bond was not enough to have paid for the rest of the completion of some of the road.
The project we
projects.
originally wanted to
And
do.
so we,
Yeah.
See,
you know, it was confusing, but we didn't have the extra money like he was trying to say.
Yeah.
your road portion of the 2009 millage, bond issue is over $1 million a year,
Yeah.
1.3 or 4 in some of the years there. So.
Well, it just makes sense. I mean, all but 10 million of that was for roads.
It-
Right.
Out of
Yeah,
the
we
40.
spent A little over 10 though, we spent we spent that on the
Oh, that's right,
GDC.
for that other
Then we
thing,
spent,
yeah.
um,
The fire department.
Fire department and the health
We had
department.
spent originally a little bit in the livestock pavilion. We did the renovation of the library,
The fire department,
Sand Hill, and
a
the
little bit on the health department.
admin building up here.
He got a grant.
But still, the
Made a
majority
difference.
was roads.
All right, and I'm sure we will do, as these things start rolling off, through the years, there's gonna be other needs,
Oh,
you know?
yes, I mean, and that's one reason you want to establish a levy for capital improvements, and this is one way. As debt rolls off,
Yeah.
you structure around it, and you can keep your program going, the capital program going.
Right.
It gets lost in the general fund, you know, it's just.
Gets taken for other things
Right.
and all, so if you have this set aside, like I said, is it rolling off and you're getting down to 2, or you've got room to do something else?
I'm sure we'll continuously do road work, so we'll always have that millage and roads.
Honestly, yeah, because
While it's on the table, we do need to mention that. You guys know we're in the process of probably getting close to finishing up a road plan.
Good.
That's going to have a dollar sign associated with it that, it's
Will be
probably going to
significant.
impact some of the decision-making as it relates to road funds and
Big
et
dog.
cetera. So
Big dog.
it may not quite be as simple as we'll just pay the courthouses out by shifting around how we use the road money against the existing bonded and debt.
Well, I'm glad the architects left.
But we've not come up with, we don't have a figure really from them. Also, we can't have one yet.
We can make some guesstimates at it here,
Uh-huh.
but the reality is that, I think that several important considerations are, we have really no idea what the site cost is going to end up being.
Yeah.
Right.
Ultimately. And that could get pretty expensive.
Thank you.
When you start talking about filling in 20 feet
All of it.
of gullies to be able to capture enough
Okay.
building.
Well, I mean, ain't nothing, but I was just that number's so good.
We
Yeah.
don't have anything.
As the years go on.
Mark itself.
Right.
That is
We'll start
acquiring
paying like
entities
this
and
bond right
working
here,
out an arrangement with them.
2005 bond will be paid off
So
in
there may be
2012, but
some costs
we
there
got
that
some
we need to
other
keep in
bonds
mind.
from '08 that'll be paid off.
It's a little
Yeah,
premature.
Yeah.
You know, I think you
The
can
earliest
$100
is gonna be 17
a
before
foot is
anything's paid
probably-
off,
Yeah.
to free up anything, so.
I remember them saying that
No
once, and I
danger
don't,
of
I can't
releasing
recall.
any-
Yeah,
release
that's-
all the
I
money,
think that's-
how that goes.
Every time that they would talk is around close to 200.
But, yeah.
That was a pretty accurate figure.
Is all the bonds that we've done in the past. And outside of this, the amount.
See, like we did in '07, when we voted, it actually didn't take it out until '08. It was 20, that was our first one, then we did our second series of 20. And, so we did $40 million worth of road work since we built that building. And so basically, we'll be adding another one down here.
Put that microphone over in front of him. I can't hear him talking over Jay.
Make sure it's on. They cut it off.
I'm on a lot of. Yeah. I had mentioned to them the possibility of two things, maybe an underground, box culvert or a bridge where you're not filling it, and we'd have to run drainage on that ditch. You just don't arbitrarily go in and filling up a draw like that. You can create a lot of problems, but you could have like a bridge crossing that lower area, and then on the backside put you, it's just walking. You're gonna have that walking situation either way, but you could have a nice bridge across it and utilize that backside for parking, or you could throw it underground in a box covered for a certain length, same effect as a bridge, basically, and have that parking back there and not be filling that hole up with dirt.
You talking about
On the far north end.
walking in the box, building, what's the box cover for?
For the drainage in that hollow.
Okay, got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
we,
I thought you were talking about a tunnel.
No, we would have to.
We're gonna build an underground
Yeah.
subway
No,
walk through.
we'd need to do a
There'll be
little,
some security in there.
we'd have to do a little drainage study on it to see the amount of water, during the 1500-year flood that comes down through there, to make sure that we don't create a dam and create another problem somewhere by filling it up with dirt. But that was just a couple of thoughts that I threw out to them that could possibly be considered. And if you want to put a box cover the whole length, then you can have it just like there's nothing there and go on out there and park and do whatever you want to.
But you're considering that if we did two different buildings, correct? Is that what we're talking?
Sir?
No,
Oh, okay. We
he's
still
working on
did.
the parking.
That's a way to avoid a lot of fill.
Okay.
Darn, Lynn, you made it too easy.
Well, I wanted, the devil's always in the details. I want you to see how it works. The reason we're doing the development bank deal is so we can do a structured financing to minimize the impact on the tax levy. We don't have that. We have very limited capability with a, I call it, non-development bank authority. The first 5 years, you have to structure your debt with at least 2% of the bond issue for principal amortization. So that's throwing another $320,000 a year into having to be paid off. Cost a little bit in interest rate to do it. We could do it as a bank qualified deal. We'd have to do 2 series of bonds. We're limited to $10 million a year, calendar year, to do a bank qualified deal. That includes leases and other type debt that's interest tax exempt. So this is just a cleaner way to do it. I mean, that's some things that we could look at if you wanted us to look at.
Well, do we have a bank willing to put out that kind of money locally?
We, banks, commercial banks don't want to go much more than 15 years. 10 years is about as long as they really want to go. They will go 15. You could go 15. We could, but to privately place it, if it's not a refunding, you can't. You have to bid that out. It has to. You don't have the authority to privately place other than through the development bank.
Okay.
That gives you we could privately place this with the bank.
But we'd have to bid it.
You don't have to be a development bank.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why we wouldn't want to bid it.
Oh, you would
Get
want
the
to.
lowest interest rate.
Yeah, you want to bid it.
Sure.
I mean, I don't, the only reason you wouldn't want to bid it, or it makes it, well, you might put on the, if you wanted $16 million on a $16 million bond issue, that's when you would you'd need to go negotiate that, negotiate the rate, negotiate the premium. The premium's going to drive that. That's how you get the full amount of the bonds. But that is a way to do it. And, no, I would recommend bidding.
I would too.
I mean, that's. 'Cause you're gonna have a lot of bidders.
You would expect.
That's not a problem.
But whenever you say bid, are you talking about whenever we get ready to actually sell them?
When you get ready to sell.
Okay.
Yes. You probably have 5, at least 7 bidders on it. And there'll be a full 0.5% spread between the high and the low.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the past, we talked about just trying to get where local people could invest in this, and it's dang near impossible, it seems like.
It is.
Because everybody would love to be able to buy these bonds, you know.
All right. You got any more questions, Lynn?
Yes. Go enjoy your birthday.
Thank you so much. Is your birthday today?
Not mine, it's Linda's.
Oh, Miss Linda, happy birthday.
Would you like us to sing to you?
I'm 65 today, so I think that's
He'd probably appreciate it.
35? 35? Yeah.
Are you gonna say too?
Well, any way you can help, don't hesitate.
Sure will. Thank you so much, Lynn. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
What do we got, Miss Laura? 3 items, really? You sound like Buster. I was talking to Miss Laura. She said she got 3.
Well, actually, one of them's for the sheriff, so it's not mine.
Okay. Yeah,
This is authority to issue a check to pay the registration fee in amount of $650 for Kristen Barton to attend the New York Police Department seminar to be held at the FBI National Academy during February while she is attending. She's already up there for a 6-week school, and while she's there, he'd like for her to attend this. Registration is $630.
Who's this for?
Kristen Barton.
Yeah. I need to.
You want to give us the other 2 so we can add them all? at the
yeah, we
same
just
time?
add them all at the same time.
Well, the other one is, I know Craig might have to tell me how to do this. On the consent this morning, we approved the claims docket in the amount of $8,535,027.35. Maria had left off the bonds that, posting over the bond. She's been out sick, Ann's been out sick, so the docket was late. And so, we need to add those. So we need to amend the amount of the claims docket approval.
We'll add a motion to amend the consent agenda
All right.
to
Okay.
this accurate figure, and then you can approve the amendment.
The amendment to the consent.
What else you got?
And the other one is the awarding of the bank bid.
All right. I make a motion we add these 3 items.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Morrison. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Take them one at a time.
Okay, the first one is, for, the registration for Kristen Barton in the amount of $630.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Keith. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, the second one is to amend the consent agenda, for the correction on the claims docket from item 5-1A.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Keith. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Oh, I've got it. She'll get a new docket. And the last one is the awarding of the bank bid. While we were in recess, I went and looked over them after I received the new, bid. And the bid should be awarded to Bank Plus. We have been with Trustmark. Trustmark's bid was 0.10% on our checking. Bank Plus came in with 0.15 and waived all installment fees.
Heck yeah. Make a motion go with Bank Plus.
Motion by Mr. Bishop,
That was the one that came in late.
Did he
wasn't
just
it?
call me Mr. Morrow?
I said, I was supposed to say
You said
Morrison.
Morrow.
I said Morrison.
I'm pretty sure he said Mr. Morrow.
Did you want me to
Just
say
giving me
Mr.
flash.
Thanks,
Martin?
Pluck, and it was how much?
Mr. Bishop?
Hey.
Did you want me to say Martin?
.15? Wow.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bishop. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Uh,
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Anything else?
That's all I
I have something under additional business. Is there a reason why we don't have an ATM located in our lobby?
yeah,
We were
I can
asked.
ask-
I tried to put one in, but,
There
y'all
was
jumped it
something.
down, so I would've had one in by now.
There was something on there.
Yeah, we don't want you to get fees off of it.
You have to get these,
There was a reason though.
all you have to do is run a line up there. That's pretty good.
They have them wireless now. All you'd have to do is anchor
Craig,
down.
does that got to
and then
do
they-
anything with the private? There wouldn't be anything private business, anybody making money privately? Okay.
I talked to the bank's ATM, they just think there's enough transactions down here for an ATM. And so the only way you really could go would go private. You can buy your own machine, you can lease the machine. If you buy it, you gotta keep your money in it, all that kind of stuff. And that's what I was gonna do, just keep our money in it.
There's no
and do
cost
that.
to the county.
You set the fee for it and everything else for it. I mean, you do the whole thing. You see them all over the place, they're everywhere.
Is that pretty much for any, I mean, any bank can be used on that, right? So it's not one certain bank? Yes.
Obviously, there would be a limitation on whether or not a user was banking with a bank that was in a specific network to that machine.
Right.
So there would be a limitation that's there, but that's not something that we can control.
We're all going credit card users now too, so that's going to eliminate a lot of the confusion and stuff like that. 'Cause we're going credit card on the 22nd, and Judy's already credit card, Bill Robert's credit card, so.
I do need to.
Building department is too, isn't it? Yeah.
I do need to amend the motion that we just made to award it to Bank Plus, to include on that as well as awarding Bank Plus, that Trustmark, Copiah Bank, and Priority be listed as alternate banks for the county.
We did that. Yeah.
We did? Okay.
Also, I wanted to open up for discussion. Now, I understand that our election commission has refused to do the primary elections this year and are turning that and putting that in the lap of the Rankin County Republican
No
Executive
kidding.
Committee.
They have,
And
definitely?
Daniel scared the hell out of it.
they've never come,
We said, we ain't
although
doing this
they've been
again.
invited to come,
Yeah.
they've never come to tell us that directly.
Right.
They haven't told you that directly. They have told the representatives of the parties that that is their position.
Wow.
Yeah, I made the call to Tanya Rivers, but I haven't got to receive a call back, so, but you know that
I
factual?
think her response when one of the gentlemen that belongs, that's a member of the executive committee said, well, you know, that's kind of your job, and if somebody wanted to run against you, they could use that against you in your reelection campaign.
Right.
And I believe she specifically stated, bring it on. Just tell them to bring it on.
But seriously though, I thought that was their job.
What are they doing if it's
And
not?
that's the whole point, is that they're getting paid.
Legally, the parties are obligated to run the primary.
Well, I know it's always been obligated, but it's always been run by,
By contract.
They
With
are
the election
allowed, the
commissioners.
election commission is allowed to oversee and essentially conduct the primaries under a contractual arrangement with the parties to do so. What they have told them is, we are not going to contractually obligate ourselves to conduct your party primaries for you.
so then the party is just gonna have to get together the poll books,
That's correct.
and what about the machines?
Machines, the
Parties
workers,
themselves
everything.
will be responsible.
Is the party gonna pay to get them programmed?
No, they gonna ask you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the election
Well, I mean,
commission.
They'll have to review the ballots, they'll have to do,
They're responsible for the election.
We fixing to see some.
Period. They just go home.
We finna see
Aren't
some
you
commissioner just gonna
bail
sit at
on the
home?
Executive committee.
Aren't you on the
By
committee?
statute, they don't.
Aren't you on the committee?
I know, but that's,
And
So you're the point man.
So what elections then are they required to handle?
They handle all of the general elections.
Yeah, yeah.
Elections.
There's some fee out of it.
All
huh?
the elections that are not a party primary or a party primary runoff.
Oh, I'm just glad I got off the committee. Put it in your hands.
So it was announced at the last executive committee meeting that the election commission would not participate in the party primary.
This must have been last week.
So the election commission now is just doing voter purge. They're adding voters and deleting them.
Statutory obligation.
That's all they have to do.
Voter lists, complying with the National Voter Registration Act, which, where you've got individuals who haven't voted consecutively in federal elections for so many years, they have to be notified.
Right.
Who's gonna get the poll workers? Who gets the poll workers?
It's gonna be up to the parties.
It's gonna be up to the parties to get them.
What about
They
training?
get all that from the.
Who's gonna train them?
I think it is up to
The parties?
The one, because they have to be trained.
But at least you got Tony Yates on board.
Who's,
Yeah, my understanding is that right now, and I can't speak for the other party, but, my understanding is that there was gonna be an attempt to try to secure from the election commissioners at least the list of the persons who have volunteered as poll workers
And been trained.
and been trained.
And they would more than likely be coming to you to ask you to do it again anyway.
Who pays the poll workers?
we do, the county,
We
the
do.
county.
We've
does.
always done that.
Yeah, we have to.
Oh, I know that.
Let me ask you a
But-
question. Since we've got this on the, right now, can we go ahead and expedite this and move this forward? Because, I mean, it's coming around the corner quick.
Well, I think we gotta get notified
Yeah.
first.
I would,
Well, I don't know. I mean, if they're not gonna tell us.
Why would you expedite it now? My gosh, you got to,
Yeah.
it's August.
I'm talking about starting moving the,
I would like to hear from the election commission
Yeah.
as to their thinking.
They need to come in here and tell us.
Explain that, they've been invited to come and explain.
but how do we make them come in here if we can't get them?
I think we need you guys to contact your respective.
I've already
commissioners.
tried.
So,
That we would like to hear from.
Craig, isn't it the responsibility of the election commissioners though to train poll workers, or is it the party also?
Well, they are required to train for the elections that they conduct.
Right. Outline of what-
So then who's gonna be in charge of training?
The party.
Craig Slay.
No, this, y'all just thinking about the small end of it.
I
We
know,
ain't
I know.
gonna have a Democrat. There is no Democrat party.
Yeah, This election.
We won't have Democrat poll workers.
Decided.
I would think certain they could go for them, like give you a lot of input of what the options are on that.
Holy cow, this is fixing to be.
But I heard there were
nightmare.
several poll workers that were not coming back after the McDaniel fiasco. We were fed up with it.
Great time to go to paper ballots.
I think you must have started it, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they heard that. They said, we ain't coming back.
Yeah, them poll workers. Yeah. Seriously though,
But-
the Democrat, there is no Democrat party to be able to train poll workers and have them show up.
But there is a Democrat party.
Well, I mean, yeah.
There is,
but-
and I hate that because I know some of them that are,
Miss Livingston.
Are there any election commissioners that are Democrats?
yeah. I know
Oh, yeah.
some Democrats,
I'm sure
very
there are.
influential.
I mean, here
Me.
in Rankin.
No, I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Democrat election.
Okay.
Okay.
But their party's responsible.
So,
It is what it
getting
is.
back to Greg's question, how do we get them down here? Just
I
us
mean,
call
I'll-
them on the phone?
They don't
I'll
have to.
contact Tanya again and see if I can get a hold of her, but
I think the key is to point out that they need to come and to explain to you
At
guys.
least your chairperson.
Just-
Which
yeah,
is
just
Tanya.
common courtesy.
yeah, which is Tanya.
What has
Yeah, she
caused
just took over the office of position. She's what?
Well, Walter, you got any other good news for us?
Huh?
What?
Do what?
Walter's one dropped that bombshell there.
Well, actually, they were invited to come with election.
Well, I'd like to
Chairman
make-
of the election commission.
I'd like to
They
form a
refused to
committee
come.
as the
Said
president
that they
to
would come
make
and
that
meet with
happen.
y'all after the meeting, and because some of them had full-time jobs and they could not make the time to come down. So they've already been invited.
Yeah.
After the meeting, what are they talking about, after
Him and
5?
Tommy Yates.
Yeah.
Would you want Mr. Harkins
Yeah.
involved in that, Craig?
Are they, are election commissioners paid by the hours that they work, or do they draw a salary?
Howard.
They per diem by the hours that they work.
Yeah,
And
remember?
are they on county insurance?
They
No.
are on county insurance because they're elected officials.
Oh, they do get a county insurance?
Do what there?
They don't get retired.
I think Walter's trying to find a way to squeeze them.
Remember, we addressed that with your election commissioner.
Yeah, that's the one that went over the time and stuff, wanted more money,
So-
more money out there.
Y'all might have an agenda item that's discussing something near and dear to the heart of the election commission. They may want to come and ask, find out about it.
Would you want Mr.
Yeah.
Harkins here?
Can we figure out,
He, in a public meeting, he'd be welcome to attend, but you may be putting your finger on some of where the friction is.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
On what?
Oh. Okay.
What'd you say, Jay?
no,
Put the microphone.
He said paper ballot.
Rodney said it.
Rodney said.
Paper ballot. Paper ballots. Really?
Wow, in the world.
So, what
What did he do to pick them off?
Party, so
what issue is there?
I don't know.
I can't speak for him, bro. Just tell you.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I thought you were on the executive committee.
No, I'm talking about the election commission.
Yeah, exactly. At least District 5.
Just speculate.
All right. I'll reach out again and see if I can get them down here.
Yeah.
See if I can get them here at the work
They had
session
to
or
throw them
something.
out because couldn't put them in the voting precinct.
All those extra ballots already have filled out.
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah, I'll help you out. Yeah.
I would invite them maybe to come talk about polling precincts,
All right.
because that is a legit issue, and we do have some potential. for
Hey,
some
look at
changes
me.
there.
Actually, man, I really may want to make a change to one of mine.
There will be a number of possible changes upcoming, and we need to get a move on. Ms. Chance and I had already talked about, and Ms. Laura was out, so she hadn't heard about it. She's hearing about it for the first time. We had already talked about possibly one of the February meetings, going ahead and trying to gather up a listing of each of the precincts that we want to make adjustments to.
All right, now okay, right there. Who really has the, is that part of their job? I mean, are they the ones that they want a precinct moved? Or are they the ones that really can just say, we want to move it?
Technically, no.
No.
Board of Supervisors is responsible for the location
Okay.
of the polling precinct.
Because we have to go to
Always
the
done
Department
mine,
Department of
Jared.
Justice has to approve.
Department of Justice.
Yeah.
We have to send
Not
up there to
anymore.
get approval.
Not anymore.
That's right. They changed
Not
that.
anymore, thank you, Shelby County
Yes.
versus Holder.
Yeah, they changed that.
That part of the Voting Rights Act does not apply to our jurisdiction, covered jurisdictions anymore.
So do you really think this is going to stick, though? You don't think that this is going to kind of go away?
What?
I think there's
What?
going to need to be a serious discussion with them about their position. And I'm just trying to give you a pretext to get them here. And so if we talk about polling precincts and we make it clear that we intend to talk about all of the districts.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be here at our next meeting, so can we set it for the 15th? meeting?
17th.
17th meeting?
Yes, sir. That's what I had in mind. was
All
that
right.
meeting.
Okay. That'll be good.
And that's getting a little late in the game.
Well, we don't have
Quite
any.
honest with you.
Yeah. Then we get them here today?
No, they're working. They
Uh,
have full-time jobs.
Wow. I'm going to call mine and talk to him. I don't know if it's doing good, but he ain't bothered to call me and tell me they're not going to do it.
No, that's the first
No.
I heard about it.
Till I heard it from you the other day, just the possibility.
Who
That's the
let the
first I've
dog
heard.
out?
They've never made an official statement. All of that's just back channel.
Too bad
The first anything official was when they told the party chairman, you're gonna need to get busy finding your own poll workers.
Who told them that?
One of the election commissioners.
Have they told the Democrat
Whoever's
Party that?
Chairman of ours.
Really?
They
just
told them both?
changed the time it was next
Okay.
week. Leslie was in there and changed his name.
Yeah. The email you sent out yesterday about the billboard,
Yes, sir.
I just want some clarification on that. Can we force the guy to put in a request to,
He's already put in his request. All we're doing now, Jay, is not allowing it to just sit without any activity, which is what his follow-up request was. Okay, so he is Leonard Busby,
Right.
who is the owner of the outfit called Capturion, which is a billboard installation company, advertising marketing company. Mr. Busby, as you know, initially came before the board, and this goes back to 2011, made a request to put the billboard in what's called the Business Park.
Avalon Center.
Avalon Center Business Park. At the time the board heard it, the vote was to reject the application. They appealed that rejection to circuit court. Circuit Judge M. Finger, ruled that there was not enough information in front of him that would explain the decision that the board made, and remanded the matter back to the Board of Supervisors for further consideration. All right?
Pass the buck.
And the position that I took at the time, Chris Palmer handled the litigation on that. The position that I took, that we took, was let's see what Capturion has to say. The ball is back in their court to get it back front and center in front of the board. And they didn't do anything for the longest period of time. When they initially started coming back around acting like they wanted to take the matter up, the owner of the property in the Avalon Center was in a fight with us on nuisance property and other zoning violations on both that piece of property and others. And I explained to Mr. Busby right out there, this board wasn't interested in talking about anything until his landowner, where he wanted to put his board, got his act together. And so he left here with a plan to go get with the owner and get all that straight. And it's sad and sad and sad. We didn't hear anything. And then the next wind I got out of it was he had gone to Dr. Muse and worked something out and came back and was ready to take it back up. Okay? So that's the most recent iteration of it. Since that time, we looked more closely at the Avalon Center covenants. We've had this discussion. And it's clear that a billboard in that location would violate the private restrictive covenants of Avalon Center. We pointed that out to Mr. Busby. He claimed that was not enforceable for some reason, but that's not a fight that the county needs to get in the middle of. We don't enforce covenants, and we're not bound by them, but we're not going to allow a use that is clearly a violation of the private covenants, because all that's doing is just inviting litigation, right? So we explained to him, you need to go get straight with the Avalon Center people and make sure that they are okay with you violating their covenants first. When he had those discussions, it became apparent to Mr. Busby that wasn't going anywhere. I was asked to go make sure Dr. Muse knew what was going on. I had that meeting. Dr. Muse was satisfied that he didn't want to be involved in that. And I left there thinking that we would not hear about this anymore.
Mm-hmm, me too, from the email.
All right. And I haven't up until very recently, when Renee called Mr. Busby and said, we need something in writing from you withdrawing this application so we can close our file.
Correct.
She told me this morning that he said he was not ready at this time to give a written authorization to withdraw the application. Translation, he still wants the billboard, and he still wants an opportunity to make that happen somehow. And so I think where we are now is we need to set that public hearing that we delayed at his request. We need to set it, re-notify all those property owners out there.
but why do we want to do that though? Why stir a hornet's nest?
Well, because, and let me explain a little bit more, because I'm getting calls, this man's getting calls from people that live out there wanting to know what's going on. They're sitting out there, they're hearing this, they're hearing that. They're ready to close the door too, one way or the other.
Yeah, they're sitting
Approve or
in here to make sure it
disapprove.
doesn't slide through.
Let me also say that Renee showed me the dates her schedule of dates for the various public hearings on zoning matters. And the next one that we could get in front of you guys on to even set a public hearing is actually April. I don't know if that makes any difference to you.
Well, no, we've never done this before. Since I've been on the board, we haven't gone to someone and say, hey, you have to come and do a public hearing.
I don't think you're really making him do one. You're saying, okay,
we are.
well, no, you're saying, are you going to do it or you're not? What he's doing right now is going to Dr. Muse.
He either shows up to.
Just let him sit there.
Not.
Why can't he just sit there anyway? I mean, just sit there.
Jay, typically in situations where somebody is asking for the county to act on an application, it's their application. And so we're simply saying we got a standing application.
But it's his application, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The person's application, I don't recall us ever doing this before.
I
I don't know that we've ever had a situation where they have said, don't act on it.
What?
Don't act on my application, just let it sit there.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
We've not had that.
we've had some builders that come in and want to build something we weren't in favor of, and we didn't come back and say, you gotta have a hearing because we can vote you down. We've told them.
I agree.
We're not
But
gonna
didn't
pass
we
it.
withdraw it?
Right.
Yeah, and see, he's keeping us in no man's land. He doesn't want us to act on it, and he won't let us withdraw it.
I still think we got some that are sitting out there that are very similar to him, just not a billboard. Maybe, well, prime example, what I told Ronnie about before the meeting, the storage buildings. You know, that guy's the same situation.
And he's finally bringing it forward.
Well, is he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be here the 17th.
But it started 2 years ago too.
This guy started
You know?
when?
11.
It actually started in 2010.
But also though, it's
That's
going,
5 years.
We're moving forward too because at his choice, he wants to move forward now. We're not forcing him to.
I wouldn't say we give him ultimatum. You better show.
Well, let's put it this way.
Well, the mini storage is isn't that a good use that backs up to that? There won't be any.
Oh no, there'll be a fight on that.
There'll be
too.
a fight.
Oh, your fight's coming.
Yeah, it's the same
I'm just
group.
telling you, if you can deal with that issue, you're living, I mean, you
No,
got
I'm
Old
just saying,
Fannin Road out
I
there
don't want to
too.
go kick a hornet's nest if
I'm
I
not-
don't have to.
Well, you-
I just, if
I'll
I don't
just send
have to
all the
fight,
calls to
I'd
you.
rather not.
I'll send all the calls to you I've been getting.
Well, if it's
'Cause they're all on Old Fannin
he
Road.
does get, you know,
That's what it does, Greg. Just send them to him.
That's what we'll do.
if he does get the landowners where they would be willing to do it, which I don't think he ever will.
I don't either. I'm just telling you, they are not in favor of it. And if
I'm
you
not
wanna
talking about
make-
people who live in the neighborhood. I'm talking about the ones in the center part right there.
Those
Who are holding it up.
vociferous opponents, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Where all of the objection is originating from is the Avalon Center Business Park.
Yep.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So it's not
It's
going to
filtering
happen.
over into Avalon, and I think.
Well, it's already filtering over.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
how long
what's
can a
coming.
request live? How long, what kind of life does it have, forever?
Sir.
A request like this, or for a variance?
We don't have an accommodation, to my knowledge, we don't have an accommodation in our zoning ordinance that dictates how long an application can sit out there not acted upon.
Yeah.
Well, the problem being is he's using, and it's apparent he's using politics to play a piece in this. Otherwise, why would you get a hold of Dr. Muse? What use does Dr. Muse have in it?
Well, that was to help get it approved. 100%. Business.
Well, there you go. That's politics. I mean, but what good was that to the people that live there?
Well,
Or
Avalon,
actually-
well, I guess it depends on your point of view. Personally, I don't see a harm in a billboard. You know, I don't care if one's out on my street or not, you know, but obviously some people do.
Like I said, I will filter those calls straight to you.
That's fine. That's fine.
I guess if we are telling the residents out there who are inquiring what's the status, and we continually tell them there has been no effort to bring it back on the agenda, but our zoning ordinance requires that there will be a notification to the residents out there. It requires it, so there will be another posting of the sign, there will be another advertisement in the newspaper about the hearing. And I think under the circumstances, we would probably even go further and at least notify those.
Homeowner association.
That they want to be notified. So, you know, there's a way that we can, I think, that we can calm them, that nothing is gonna slip through. I don't know why he doesn't just give up.
That's a good question.
You don't,
That is a good question.
Here's why. Because he can't give up, because if he withdraws this application,
It's done.
he will never
Yeah.
get a billboard because it's now RCD.
So how does he think that he's gonna win?
I don't know.
I imagine the only way he probably can win if he buys out the bike shop.
and several others.
Whatever, yeah.
Because it's what?
Sir,
Cause the,
it's RCD now.
you know, over the
Reservoir Community
district.
District.
Overlay
We
district.
don't allow billboards in the Reservoir.
Yeah, that doesn't
Community
allow.
District at all. Their initial application came forward
Before,
before there was a community district.
and once he pulls it, it's over.
You say
Unless, of
overlay.
course, the board decides to make a modification to the overlay district.
That's right.
But can we override a covenant of a business center?
No. He will always.
Well, it doesn't matter
he'll
whether
have to
the bike
find
shop
another
wants it or not.
location inside the RCD, before that exception would work, because he's got a private restrictive covenant that won't let him put it there.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen, but, I mean, I don't know why we're gonna force the issue either. We just, it's like we're picking a fight.
I'm not picking one. I'm just telling you, you're gonna get all them calls that I've been getting, so
I'm
I'm
getting
fixing to
them
give them.
I have to send them to Renee.
No, don't send them
Just
to Renee,
send them
just
to
send them
Rodney.
to Jay.
Yeah,
His
tell them to
district.
call me, that's fine.
Isn't that right, Rod?
Do what?
Just send them to you, it's your district. That's fine
Oh,
with
the
me.
ones
Well, this
across
is-
the road too are looking at it.
I
I'm
prefer
telling you, they're
emails, but I'll
calling.
take the call.
Renee takes it, I mean, because she has to.
Yeah,
take
right
it.
across the road, believe me, they've been calling.
So April is when we're gonna have them come?
No, sir. You would, the first time you will hear about it will be when Renee, the planning commission in April tells you that we need to set that public hearing.
Oh, okay.
The hearing would actually be over in May.
Alright. Okay. So much for that campaign contribution.
Why don't we wait and have it?
You can
Why don't we wait and have it right
Politics.
sometime in early August?
What'd I say, politics?
Business.
There you go.
You better get votes.
Alright. Do we have anything else to?
Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to, what do we got, recess or? Recess till the 29th? Okay, do I have a motion to recess till the 29th? So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Keith. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
All right, guys, since you sent me a phone number of the guy, talking about 449.